gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Here in this video, we are going to be going over everything that's going on in our markets today, any and all news that you need to know, as well as AMC specifically. AMC is down about 2.5% today. Pretty rough day again for AMC, and unfortunately, we're starting to break down. Even though Fed Jerome Powell was the most bullish I've seen ever, like, this dude got on the podium and went full bull for the markets. Who cares about inflation? Who cares? He sounded more concerned about a slowdown in the economy, if I were to say so myself. Who knows if he knows something that we don't? Maybe not. That's really hard to tell. But with that said, nobody wants to touch AMC. Nobody wants to touch interest rate sensitive stocks still, even though the Fed confirmed they are going to cut rates 3 times in 2024, basically no matter what. No matter what happens with inflation, no matter what happens at all. Economy gets weaker, you might get 5 or 6 rate cuts. That's always a possibility. So here in this video, we're going to get into it. First things first with AMC stock. Now, it's actually interesting. Hedge funds and institutions, they're back out today making some trades in AMC options. You have 4 trades totaling about $69,000 with a positive order value of 26%. So nothing really great there. But this is the first time we have seen interesting order flows from hedge funds and institutions for this entire week so far. Besides on Monday, you had 1 trade. I mean, that was it. Now today you're seeing some activity. It is definitely to the bearish side, though, so keep that in mind. You do have an April 19th $3.50 put for $17,000, a September 20th $4 put for $19,000, and an April 19th, I don't even know what to do for this kid anymore, $3.50 put, $15,000, and a September 20th $4 call for $18,000 as well. So what? 1 call, 3 puts here, and that's where you get the 26% positive order value. 1 bullish trade, 3 trades that were a little bit more on the bearish side. Now, AMC stock today has cost of bar fees around 5%. That doesn't suggest a lot of shorting activity, but it does suggest more shorting activity is still continuing. Now, you do have a short interest percentage of free float at 14.25%. This recently, let's say to start 2024, was around 7%. You have doubled. The short interest has doubled in just the last 3 months or so. I find that interesting. Now, has the short interest really doubled? Are hedge funds and institutions flocking into short positions all of a sudden? Or was the short interest just very high to begin with, and now they're, well, catching up to them, and they're letting more of these positions actually show through? That's what I would expect. That makes a little bit more sense to me, but let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Short interest is currently over 14% now. That's a big deal. I think that's a big deal because if you start to get a rally in AMC, if you start to get, people that talk about AMC and they look at the short interest, they're going to say, wow, 14%, it's not egregiously high, but it's not that low either, right? It's kind of like that medium ground. It's high short interest, but it's not like eye-popping, head-turning short interest just yet. I do think we are going to trend up to, ultimately 20+%. We're already on course to doing that as of right now. Now, you do have $157 million worth of short positions in AMC. Days to cover sitting at 2.6, 37.37 million shares that are currently sold short. Shares out on loan, 53.69 million. Cost to borrow, 1.12%. Utilization of 69.31%. And a short score of 69.8 out of 100. So, the rest of the data is starting to look a lot better, like days to cover now at 2.6, utilization at 69, and the short score at 70. These are all trending up to the right as far as AMC's short data is concerned, and that's always going to be a good thing if you're in the market to see AMC stock go through a short squeeze, in which I think that is every single one of you guys in this video. Now, in the next video, we'll talk about specifically when I expect AMC stock will start to do a lot better, start to actually perform well, okay? And there's a very specific date you need to be watching, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in the next video. Currently, AMC stock is $4.10 per share. If you take a look at StockTwits and we look at the sentiment here today, you are neutral at 48. Yesterday, you were neutral at 53, so sentiment not as strong as it was yesterday. Go figure, the stock's down 2.5%. Nobody wants to touch interest rate sensitive stocks at all right now, but yet they'll buy Nvidia at potentially multi-year highs. Like, looking out, this could be a multi-year high for Nvidia. But people love stocks when they're high. They hate stocks when they're low. That's just that's the psychology, and that's why you can beat the market so heavy if your emotions are, good for the markets. If you go against your instinct that, when a stock falls, you should sell it. When a stock rises, you should buy it. If you just do the opposite of that, you should make quite a bit of money in your lifetime. Not personalized financial advice. That's not financial advice at all, but that's personally what I do. Now, message volume today is currently at 60, which yesterday you were at 60 as well. So you're still on the high end of the spectrum as far as message volume. So things look good there. And the participation ratio is sitting at 54, which is basically where it has been, between 54 and 56, still considered normal on the high side. So there's still a lot of people talking about AMC, just the stock cannot catch a break and move up. That's just the simple fact of the matter. The stock just will not move up. And now you're at a very interesting moment in time, because you were right there at that 50-day moving average, finding a lot of resistance at that 50-day moving average. Now you've broken down, and now you're trading down from that 50-day moving average. You're no longer kind of testing this as support each and every single day. You're starting to really disconnect from this level, and that's not exactly the best scenario to be in for the bulls. This does suggest to me AMC stock probably falls, more from here, but it depends, because what does Aron say? What kind of news do we get? I think those are things that you have to consider as well, that could be events that change AMC also. Now, do I expect Aron to all of a sudden come to his senses? No. Is it possible? Yes. Sometimes, people do come to their senses. Sometimes people don't come to their senses. If Aron doesn't come to his senses, well, prepare for AMC to file bankruptcy at some point down the line. If he does, well, fantastic. So that's kind of the current situation. Now, in regards to this whole nobody wants to touch small caps situation, I think that is where kind of you gotta see through the noise, okay? Why do people not want to touch small caps? Well, honestly, I don't know. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I guess your high quality names, your big tech companies are, putting up some impressive earnings. A lot of small caps are unprofitable, like AMC. From time to time, AMC turns a profit, but for the most part, generally unprofitable. And there's still a couple of months until we can expect the first rate cut. And these are all things that are weighing on small caps. Now, specifically with AMC, I think it's the debt burden and the risk of bankruptcy that is still weighing on AMC as well. So I think that is something that is helping to keep AMC lower. And Aron just needs to give us a commitment not to dilute shareholders. That is it. Say, hey, markets, we're not going to dilute you for 3 or 6 months. AMC stock would rocket higher. 3 to 6 months later, AMC would be able to raise capital at a lot higher price than $4 per share. He doesn't know how to play the game. Aron doesn't know how to play the game at all. That's unfortunate, because it really doesn't take a genius to figure this one out. Nonetheless, if we go ahead and take a look at the percent of stocks above their 50-day moving average actually falling, you're seeing a broad-based kind of decline here on the day today, down about 4%. 4% of stocks are back under their 50-day moving average today. not exactly great. Overall, this number is down about 6.31% today. You would think the markets would be a lot more red than they are, given really under the surface. Things do not look great at all, but they're not that red. I mean, some areas are red, but not all of them. Says the Dow is down about 0.5%. S&P's pretty much break even. The Russell is down about 1%. That's rough. The NASDAQ is up 0.3%, but what's actually interesting is the VIX is down 1.7% as well. So to see all of these stocks in the red, the market's generally not doing that well today. The VIX is still down 1.7%. That's not great. Okay. That's not a great sign. Okay. Not for small caps, that is. Not for a stock like AMC. And I think it's not until we get some rate cuts that really start coming in that, people want to touch small caps again. And it's likely going to be quality. So I don't know how much of a boost AMC is even going to get to that either, right? If Aron doesn't take the necessary steps, he's sabotaging the company. That's just what he's doing. You gotta, call it for how it is. Call bullshit when you see bullshit, like they say in The Big Short. And I call bullshit. Aron is sabotaging AMC, and he's doing a fantastic job at it. Give him credit where it's due. He deserves that credit. AMC stock is where it is today because of Aron. Because of Aron. That's it. It's not because of you. It's not because of the next guy selling. It's not because of anything else. It's because of Aron. Now, take a look at the Stock Tracker data. You do have a decent amount of option activity expiring today. Doesn't matter. It's expiring. It didn't help us at all. You do have calls in the money at about 2,700. Calls out the money about 47,000. Puts in the money at about 5,100. And puts out the money at 17,000. So decent amount of option activity. Again, like I said, next week you're going to have a decent amount of option activity as well, especially to the call side. 2 times as many calls out the money than puts out the money for next week. About 43,000 calls that are currently out the money. And 20,000 puts that are out the money for next week as well. In the money calls at about 3,600. In the money puts at about 4,300. And that is for next week's expiration. So, yeah, nothing super exciting, but nothing terrible also. I think we've noticed on, some of the weeks where we actually see the biggest rally for AMC, it actually comes on weeks with low option activity, which is interesting because maybe you just start to see an influx of option activity and positioning and it's not as saturated to start. Who knows? Maybe that has something to do with it, but next week you do have a decent amount of option activity nonetheless. Now, if you take a look at the recent AI investor sentiment survey that did come out, you do have bulls at 43.2%, neutral investors at 29.6%, and bearish investors at 27.2%. So bears definitely increased. The bulls decreased a little bit by about 2.7%. And neutral investors did also decrease from 32.2% to 29.6%. So it looks like the bears just seen a big jump, and bulls seen a small decline, and neutral investors seen a small decline as well. So that's pretty interesting. People definitely got a little bit more bearish this week. Did that get reflected in stocks? Not at all. You would think people are the most bullish they have ever been right now in the markets. Because, I mean, look at the markets. Look at the NASDAQ. Look at the S&P breaking out to new all-time highs yet again today. Fantastic. For those of you guys that are invested in the SPY and the triple Qs, your 401ks might be loving this, but maybe not your stock picker portfolio because it has been a rough last couple of years for the stock picker out there. Unless you've been in your big tech names, it has been rough, okay? Let's just say that. But again, today, another, well, not today, but yesterday, that was a new all-time high for the NASDAQ. I believe yesterday was also a new all-time high for the S&P, but I believe you're pretty close to that today. Yeah, you're pretty close to that today as well, but yesterday at the peak was the high new all-time high for the S&P 500. And honestly, I don't see any kind of crash coming for a while now. For a while. So if you're bearish, you definitely want to reevaluate that bearish position now that the Fed is, I guess, I don't really know what words to put it. He's basically saying this recent bout of inflation is transitory again. The transitory is coming back up again. That's essentially what he's saying. So who knows? If he's right on that, great. I do think a little bit of Powell's speech was kind of cautious on the economy. Kind of feels like the economy could break soon. And that would obviously be a negative for stocks. But when does that happen? I have no idea. But it doesn't look like a crash is coming anytime soon because the Fed is your friend. Now, again, for AMC stock, you want to get above that 50-day moving average. It's not looking like it's going to happen. That is currently at $4.36 per share. I guess better luck next week. If it happens next week, great. But you're overall kind of in a bearish trend here now. The RSI is at 39.78, so definitely on the low side as well there. So we'll see what happens. If you get above that 50-day moving average again, you could rally big time. If you don't, you're just going to continue to fall, likely to new all-time lows. Let me know what you think about this information down below in the comment section. Hit the like button as well as subscribe to the channel. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.